please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. It's 12 noon. We're halfway through the trading session and we've started the financial year on the front foot. So despite the big gash on the Nifty on account of ICICI Bank, we're still up close to about 50 odd points, a gain of about 0.5%. The Midcap index outperforming at the high point of the day. The Small Cap index has rallied close to about 1.65%, and it is clearly a data-heavy day as well as week. We've got the auto sales numbers trickling in, the core sector data for the month of February, post-market hours, and then later this week we've got the RBI policy, status quo perhaps on rates, maybe a hawkish still to the commentary, but a lot of data points to track as we've started this month. Hi, Nigel.
Well, Rima, if it wasn't for ICICI Bank, we would have been closer towards 10,200 as well. And if ICICI Bank is going to start losing out, and it's going to be a bit of a de-rating there, there'll be a couple of other banking stocks that will start doing well. Indusind Bank, in the last series, it was up close to 10%. The markets were down more than 2%. If you take a look at it today, Kotak Mahindra Bank is up close to around 4%. You have HDFC Bank that's up close to around 1.5%. And keep in mind, some of these stocks, they are only around 1% to around 3% away from their all-time highs. So just keep that in mind. And ICICI Bank, remember, even before this news piece did come out, was down 24% from the recent peak, while the Nifty is only around 10% away from that. And today, we have seen some incremental selling as well that's coming in there. Breadth of the market, fantastic. You have close to around 5 stocks that are advancing for every 1 stock that's declining. So the breadth of the market as well is good. And that explains why the mid-cap index is holding virtually at the high point of the day.
Individual stocks. This is our movers and shakers segment with all our colleagues. And let's start with the biggest loser. That's ICICI Bank. It's at a 5-month low. And if it wasn't for ICICI Bank, the Nifty would have been higher by close to about 80 points instead of 50 points. Lata, the spate of bad news continues for ICICI Bank.
Yes, we must remember that these are not immediately EPS moving news, but nevertheless, the fact that the managing director herself could be questioned by the CBI, even if it is only to understand the process and not really conduct an interrogation with respect to any particular transaction. The fact that her husband Deepak Kochar and the Videocon group officials are also being questioned, and other ICICI Bank officials, gives an indication that more bad news could leak. The uncertainty is not going away in a hurry. And, this could snowball further. Why wasn't the preliminary inquiry revealed to the exchange? Questions like this could also be asked, and that could become more full-blown. At a time like this, it's if the rank and file are expecting that perhaps there's going to be a change in either the management or the board, there can be a break in the rhythm of growth as well at the bank. And therefore, while at the moment there are no EPS downgrades that have come, there is enough negativity that can keep the stock down, and eventually that can even lead to a break in the tempo of growth.
Okay, all right, Lata. Thanks so much for that. Well, the other stock that's down close to 10% as we speak is Canfin Homes. Abhishek joins in to give us all those details. Abhishek.
Well, Nigel, Canara Bank over the weekend announced that they have called off the divestment process of their stake sale in Canfin Homes. So bids received are not in line with the valuations that they had sought. And Canfin stake sale will not happen in FY19 as highlighted by the management earlier in the show today. So just an alert, Canara Bank holds about 30.44% stake in Canfin Homes. Now, pre-deal, the valuation of Canfin Homes reached a high of 4.6 price to book value, and that has now corrected by 20-25%, including today's fall. Let's listen into the management of Canara Bank and Canfin Homes.
The pain period is behind us. Today we are starting the new financial year, first working day of the new financial year. I look at everything as pretty positive, really, because now the positive impact of RERA, that in terms of the much needed comfort for the genuine home buyers, first-time home buyers, the CLSS, that will be the major key driver for FY19 growth.
Okay, let's talk about some good news then. The auto sales numbers for the month of March have beaten expectations. perhaps the early onset of the festivities, the Navratri season, seems to have aided the numbers. Sonia is here for more on that. Sonia?
Well, thanks for that. You know, the big story in the auto sector this month really has been commercial vehicle sales and how they've surged this time across the board, whether it's Eicher Motors, Tata Motors, or even Ashok Leyland. In fact, Ashok Leyland was the best of the lot. They hit record high sales this time around. A growth of 20% is what we saw with Ashok Leyland. And, you know, the medium and heavy commercial vehicle sales have gone up about 12%. LCV, light commercial sales, are up almost 58% or so. A similar case with Eicher Motors, a 27% growth is what Eicher Motors has seen. And we also saw Tata Motors report very strong CV sales. Tata Motors, in fact, indicated that tipper sales have surged because of increased transport requirements for coal and sand in construction and road activities. So this pocket looked very good. Apart from that, you had decent sales coming from the likes of Bajaj Auto. Of course, for Bajaj Auto, the sales this time were impacted because 26,000 units of exports were left in transit. That will be added next month onwards, but the management did indicate that sales have looked good and demand continues to be robust, especially in the motorcycle space. Across the board, you know, things have looked pretty good for Maruti as well. It's a double-digit growth this time. Utility vehicle sales, the likes of Ertiga, Brezza, etc., have done quite well. So there's been no real disappointment this time around. Across the board, looking good for the sector.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Sonia. Well, on that note, I think we can hear out a couple of managements.
26,000 units have been shipped out from our factories, but they could not, for some logistic and other reasons, could not get on board and cross the mast and then get the what is called as a master's receipt. And so for all practical purposes, this is very much in the pocket. This 26,000 units should get added to April. Just to give the color, last year, on 31st March, we had a small number of 7,000 units. That is more like normal. This is a bit unusual. This has taken the toll of the total number. Going forwards, all this will get made up and will come into the numbers in April. In fact, April numbers you should see north of 400K. Q4, typically we are at almost about 1,70,000 units per month type of a rate. And Q4 to Q4, compared to last year's Q4, we have now returned a 20% growth.
Well, it's all about banking stocks, really. ICICI Bank is under pressure, but even Axis Bank is sitting with a cut of more than 2%. Lata, fill us in with details on that one.
Yes, this is a report that the Reserve Bank has written to the Axis board asking that the renewed term of Shikha Sharma be, reconsidered, and the report also says that the board might therefore prune the extension to 1 year and then wait and watch. Now, this definitely means uncertainty at the top. Axis has had its fair share of problems. If you remember, it was one of the banks which reported a large an NPA which was very different from what RBI thought it should have reported, what you call divergence in jargon. RBI wanting it to report a good 15% more NPAs than it actually reported in FY17. To be fair, Yes Bank had a much larger divergence. The other problem came with the WhatsApp leak, with the leak of the results on WhatsApp. Again, it was sharing that problem with HDFC Bank. And finally, of course, a large NPA recognition is possible in the quarter that ended on March 31st and in the current quarter because of new RBI rules. While again, this is a problem with all corporate lenders. Analysts believe that in Axis's case, it can almost be doubling or, some 60-70% more than recognized NPAs. Therefore, there's a fair share of problems and markets are worried. What would happen if there is uncertainty? Who takes over? That's taking its toll on the stock.
Lupin's doing well in today's trading session. It's moving virtually to the high point of the day. Remember, now it's sitting with a gain of around 3.8%. So keep an eye out on that one. Bharti Infratel as well. Well, that stock as well has moved higher. Intraday, I remember that Infosys suddenly did see some selling. Now, suddenly that stock, in fact, is reversed all of that. Remember, it'll be coming out with its set of numbers. It's moved back into the green. So keep an eye out on that stock as well. But as promised, Minda Industries, that's the stock that we're going to focus on. Remember, the stock is up nearly around what? It's been a big multi-bag in the last couple of years. We have Mr. Sudhir Jain, the Group CFO of the company, who joins us. Hi, Mr. Jain. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in. Well, we're just looking at the BSE release. The board has approved acquisition of around 6% in TG Minda. If you could tell us, what does the stake now go to in TG Minda? 6% is what you purchased. So did you already have a stake? Are you going to be increasing stake over there in future? Do you plan on increasing stake over there? Because the revenues of that company look quite good, close to 380 crores in the last year.
Yeah. So in Toyota Gose Minda already we are the partner, and we are partner through one of the finance company, Minda Investment, and which holds about 8% equity into the company. So basically this particular approval by the board is that Minda Industries Limited will acquire 6% plus equity which is held by Minda Investment into Minda Industries Limited. So it's basically a change of equity from our finance company to our listed entity, which is Minda Industries Limited. As per our pardon?
What's the rationale for this?
As you are aware that since past 2 years, we are doing consolidating exercise. Consolidation in the sense, over a period of last 20 years, we have now about 15 joint venture companies in the group. Minda Industries Limited is a flagship company, and over a period, these investments into the joint venture companies was made either directly through Minda Industries Limited, which is an operating company, or through finance companies. So 2 years ago, we decided to bring all group investments which have been made through finance companies into Minda Industries Limited. So Minda Industries Limited becomes operation as well as holding company for all auto component business for the group. So with this transfer, our investment in TG Minda will also flow from Minda Industries.
Okay.
Now, having said that, as per our understanding with our partner, we have an option to increase this equity to 49.9%. So that discussions are also going on, and soon we hope to conclude it, and that additional investment will then come through the company.
Okay. Just stay on, Mr. Jain. We are getting in the March tractor numbers for Escorts, and they're looking good. The total tractor sales have gone up by 66.5% for the month of March to 11,790. So the strong run rate that Escorts was enjoying continues in the month of February. The total tractor growth was about 52%, and in the month of March, it's gone up to 66.5%. So looking good right now, prima facie. The stock has surged close to about 4.5% at the high point. Mr. Jain, coming back to the company's plan to raise the stake from the current 6% to 49%, any timelines, and what would be the incremental cash outflow on account of that, and how would it be funded?
Yeah, we are in discussion with the partners, and I think shortly within H1 of the coming year, we hope to increase it to 49.9%. Okay. This will require additional cash outflow of about 125 crore.
Okay.
And as far as funding is concerned, there is enough internal accruals. Our debt equity ratio is below 0.5 as of now. Okay. So we will partly borrow the money as and when we decide to increase the equity into TG Minda.
Okay, all right. So you're saying you're comfortable on that front. Well, Mr. Jain, the other big factor that you've mentioned on a couple of con calls as well has been the airbags division. I think you have a subsidiary over there which you're looking to bring or merge it into the listed entity. Give us some details on that front, sir. When is that likely to happen?
No, actually, airbag, this Toyota Gose, one of the main product is airbag only.
Okay.
And as a first step, we have transferred from our group finance company to Minda Industries, and then
so this is the entity, sir, which has the airbags.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You indicated 105 crore would be needed to increase your stake in...
125. 125.
Okay, 125 to increase your stake in Toyota Gosai. But you'll also need an incremental 100 crores for expanding your sensors and actuators controlling division. Another 50 odd crore for your project in Gujarat for wheel and tire assembly. After all this, your net debt to equity will still be below 0.5x?
No, then it will increase. It will increase. Our estimate is to about 0.8 to the net worth of the company. But
and
still, it would be well within. Pardon?
In absolute terms, if you could tell us what would the debt stand at?
Yeah, it would be about 650 crores.
650 crore.
650 crores.
On a net worth of about 1100 crore, 1200 crore.
Okay.
All right. So short point, sir, you're saying is that you're quite comfortable with regard to your debt even after these expansions. All right. So a quick question in terms of your international business. I remember you used to contribute 15-18%. You had joined us in the past. You said you're looking to take it to more than 25%. So what is the current exposure there?
Yeah, we are around 20% only. So efforts are going on towards that to increase our international business.
To 25%?
Both through exports to 25%, both through exports as well as through our operations outside India.
Okay.
So I think it will take 2 to 3 years to reach that level, because in absolute terms, our domestic business is also growing at the rate of 20% plus.
Okay.
So overall business in domestic market is also growing, and our increased domestic market business, we are targeting to take it to 25% in 2 to 3 years time.
Okay. So if you could just give us what would be the long-term picture in terms of revenues and margins for Minda Industry. What is the target that you have with all these investments and expansion that you've planned, say by 2020?
As of now, as I shared during the last quarter results also, our EBITDA, consolidated EBITDA for all products put together in Minda Industries Limited is 11% plus, 11.5 or so. And our return on capital employed is 20% plus, 21 or 22. So in coming 2 years, we are targeting to increase the EBITDA to 12% plus.
Okay.
So it could be 12.5%. And return on capital employed to touch 24-25%.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for joining in. That's the word coming in on Minda Industries. By the way, keep your eye out on Motherson Sumi. The board of directors of Motherson Sumi will be held today on a short notice. So the street will wait by for what the announcement is. But after that's been intimated to the exchanges that a board meeting will be held today on a very short notice, the stock has risen to the high point of the day, again of close to about 3.5%.